here if you're looking at in program files, I have a library section called R. Here I have 3.0.2 version, and if I'm getting into library, I can see what are all the libraries that is available. So here in this particular case, if your particular command doesn't work, what you could do is you can externally download and you can put in this particular folder. Okay, sometimes this would work, and if there is a compatibility issue, you can just try this particular option. You can just copy and put it here. Okay, and then you can activate your library. Sometimes this would work. Instead of creating a temp library, or what you can do is directly you can just copy that particular package and you can place it here. Okay, that is one option that you could do. So we'll start with today's session. So yesterday we were looking at the basic visualization. So I was telling you how to make a pie chart or a very basic bar chart. I think we are not discussed. So I'll tell you like how this bar chart and the pie chart works in R. I'll give you a small example so that with the help of that particular thing you can just try to do in your machine with the existing data sets. Like there are 4 different case studies. So just try to have a good look at all those data set. And apart from that, I'll also get some data set through Kaggle. That is like much more interesting than what case studies we have. So there you would find some. This is actually Kaggle is a community where they post different questions and people have to solve it. I'll show that community. Okay, in this particular community, what people do is they'll just post whatever questions they have. So there are different competitions and you can get different data set. If you're looking at, there are different competitions which had been posted, like cervical cancer screening, and they would have given a data dictionary with a particular data. So you have to go through it, and you can solve it. Like if you are not getting any proper data set, and what I could suggest is just get into the site, just look at what particular domain which you are interested in, and take up that particular project and enroll yourself, so that they'll provide you access to the data set. And even if you are not able to solve after solving it, people would give their answers as well. So this is actually a good community where you can learn a lot of things. So like Titanic machine learning from disaster, you can use any other tools. You can use Excel, Python, or any other technologies. Okay. So there are different competitions. From here, I'll just show you at the end of the session. I'll just give you a data set. Here there is a Walmart data set which is available, which is a real data. So we will also try to look into that particular data, and that will also be a good backup. So whenever you feel that I don't have much data, just get into the site, okay, and just look at all the problems. And if you are able to solve certain problem which you are very much confident, just enroll there and get the data set. Okay. This is also one way of collecting a data set. Here you would get proper data set which is from industries and experts. Okay. We'll just look into the process. So today we'll be looking at some of the visualization, and we'll try to cover the statistical concepts in R. So now I'll just start with some bar chart and pie chart example. So before that, I have a package called mass, so which is an external package which has some of the data sets. So I think already this particular mass is available in my machine. So if it is not available, then what you can do is just type install.packages and just get in this particular package. Okay. And participants, whoever has this package, you can activate the library. Whoever doesn't have this, you can just install it. Okay. Here there is an example painters. I'll just check whether it is available. Okay. I think that is available in my machine. Okay. I'll just try to check. So there is a particular package called mass. So inside this particular mass package, there are different data sets which is available. So what you can do is you can just install this particular package using initially it will not be available. So what you can do is install.packages, and within double quotes just type mass. Okay. So just try to install this package, and inside this package there are many datasets which is available, and one such dataset which is available is Painters. I had took this particular dataset, and we'll see what are all the graphs which is possible to generate with this particular dataset. Okay. And if you're looking at this dataset, there are different people's name and their composition. Okay. So in this Painters example, I'll just try to view it. So in order to view this, there is a specific command, VIEW, view of mass, sorry, view of my Painters dataset. So in this Painters dataset, and make sure that whenever you type view, because view is actually easy for me, instead of looking in my console, if I have a separate tab where I could scroll and easily look my data, that is more convenient for me. That's why this particular command view is used. So the first V, it should be capital. So R is case sensitive. So if it is a view command, the first V, it should be capital. Okay. And here you can see some of the person's name, their composition, drawing, color, and their expressions, and which school they belong. So there is a category. So based on this category, we'll try to do some bar chart and some of the basic graphs. Okay. So in this particular example, what I'll do is I'll just take this Painters dollar school. Okay. This particular column I'll just try to remove, and I'll just make a separate frame. Okay. So I am just creating a variable called school. In this school, I'm just going to take Painters dollar school. So I'm going to take this particular column, and I'm going to create a new variable called school. So if I type school, I can see only the last column which is available. So with this particular thing, I'll just try to create a table. So while creating table, obviously table is being created based on their frequency. So what I'll do is I'll give a variable called school.frequency. Okay, just for my understanding, and I'm going to create a table here. Okay, for this particular variable that I had created, I'm going to create a table. Okay, the variable that I had created, based on that, I'm going to create a table. And if I check school.frequency, now we can see what is the frequency of A, what is the frequency of B, C, D, E, and F. So now I can create a bar plot representing this frequency, or even a pie chart representing this particular frequency. So the command that is used to build a bar plot is bar plot. I'll take this school.frequency, because this school.frequency it contains all this data set. I'll try to create a bar plot. Now that I had run the script, I can I can see a bar graph here. So A is holding 10, the frequency is 10 here, so it shows A is 10, and this tells you what is the frequency, which class has the highest frequency. So here I can see A and D has equal frequency. So in the same way, like if you want to make it colorful, or if you want to include if I want to include a title, I had showed you that yesterday in some of the graph how you would add a title. Using the command main, you can just include a title, and you can change their names correspondingly. So if I want to include colors to it, so that this graph looks colorful, what I can do is that I'm just going to create a name called colors. I'm going to create a variable called colors. Okay, in this color I'm going to concatenate many other colors. Say for the first plot, I'll just make it as red. For the second plot, I'll give another color, yellow. This is just because whenever I do a presentation, I cannot show it in a blank way. So just to make it much colorful, we can do this. And but that will not give you any analysis. But just for a good visualization, you can just follow this. I'm just giving different colors. Now that if I run the script, I had loaded all these colors into a specific variable. Now in my bar plot, I'll define this color. So in order to define this, there is a function called COL, where you can specify whatever colors you had drawn. So I'll just give all the colors here. Now I can see that I had fit in whatever colors that I want in my particular graph. This is the way you can show a bar plot based on their frequencies. And if you have any other variable to be represented, just create a table with whatever values with the frequency count. Then you can do this process. And as a task, what I could suggest is, so probably when you get time, just try to do for the school A, what is the sum of expression, okay, and what is this for B, what is the sum of expression. So I don't want this frequency count, I want based on this expression, and try to create a bar plot. Okay, that would be your assignment, or just think that, because only if you are practicing by yourself with all the comments, you'll be becoming more familiar to the tool. So if I'm telling all the comments, then it becomes unuseful, because only when you are getting into this tool and whenever you visualize something, it is all about bringing your thought. So if I want to build a structure, how I'm going to do that structure with all these R commands. So that's the most important thing. And you got my question right. What is the question that I was specifying? Everyone understood what question I was telling about? There are different schools. Okay. So what I was telling is, one bar plot what I had made is, I had made only with the school, based on their frequency I had plotted it. So A had repeated 10 times, B had repeated 8 times. So based on this I had created a bar plot. Here if you're looking at A's frequency is 10 times, so here the bar plot is constructed. So B is repeated 6 times, so the bar plot is constructed. So now what I want to do is, so just take this example, or I'll also give you some of the real example. At the end of the session, I'll show you some Walmart example. I'll tell you, I'll do certain operations in Excel. So I want you to do the same operation with the help of R. Okay, because doing it in Excel is simple, but doing it in R, it requires to understand the structure, how the data is aggregated and how this should happen. So at the end of the day, what I'll do is I'll take a retail example, and I'll do some transformation in Excel, which can happen in seconds. But the same transformation I want you guys to try it in R. Okay, and if that process, if you are able to do that particular process, then probably all this visualization will become easier, and understanding the structure of data becomes much better than what you are right now. Okay. Okay. In the same way, if I want to do a say if I want to do a pie chart, now it is also easier for me. The same bar plot, instead of bar plot, I'll put a pie. I can see a pie chart here based on the whatever proportions that they want. This pie chart can be constructed. Okay, these are all the basic visualization, and this visualization can be done aggregating different values. Say if I want to add all those things, A based on their sum of expression, and this expression I should plot here. So in that case, how you would approach? For an example, I want to know what is the proportion of expression, what is the sum of proportion of expression for this school A. That's what I want to look into this graph. So these are all the basic visualization. Then we'll talk about, we'll see how to make a box plot. Okay, Deepak, you said to find outlier. Yeah. So to find an outlier, you would be doing in box plot. So what is an outlier? Sanjay said data that is special case in data set. Yeah, or any data point occurred occurrently. Okay. So like if something happens in an abnormal way, or in an unexpected data which is not explainable at all, so that is actually called an outlier. And okay, having high standard deviation, yeah, that is also one way you can put in the data point which is having the highest standard deviation, which is most deviated, which will not fall in your normal distribution. Because of that particular outlier, your distribution will not be normal. It gets skewed to one direction, either your left tail or the right tail gets elaborated. So in those sort of situations, you have to find what is the outlier in your specific data. So that's why people would do a box plot. So box plot would tell you what is the possible outlier that you can figure out in that particular data set. That becomes much easier. For an example, we'll take this iris data set which we were looking yesterday. Iris is the data set which we were looking yesterday. So here let me check what is the outlier for sepal.length, sepal.width, petal.length, and we'll see what is there any point which is having an extreme standard deviation, or which is having higher standard deviation. Okay. In this iris dataset, what I'll do is I'll try to create a plot. I'll put a box plot. This is the function to create a box plot. Here I'll just take only one particular variable. Right now I'll just take sepal.length. Okay. And based on species, let me check how this is deviated. And the data set that I'm going to take is from iris. So I mentioned data is equal to iris, and I'll try to plot it. Okay. If I plot this, I can see a graph based on different species. I had plotted my sepal.length. So what does it mean? On looking at this graph, what is the interpretation that you could make out of this box plot? On looking at this graph, what is the interpretation that you could make here? Any idea? Juma, you said Virginica has one outlier. Yeah. Yes. So if you're looking at this particular dot would represent the extreme outliers. It can be either in your minimum section or it can be in your maximum section. So what Virginica tells that normally in Virginica group, all the sepal dot length, it starts with almost 5.6 or something, the minimum value, and it goes till 7.8 or 7.9. But I find only one observation which is less than what all the point represents me. So only one thing is less than 5.0. So this becomes an outlier. So because of this, my distribution gets skewed towards the left side. So if I'm rejecting this particular outlier, then I could decide that okay, then my distribution can be normal, and this is not a thing which is happening regularly, right? Because only one observation which is an outlier with only this particular species will have certain fault. The same way, if I talk about a sales data set, okay, if we have a sales data set and if I plot, I can see what sort of graph it comes in. So instead of species, what I'll do is I'll take this complete sepal dot length. Let me check. If I take only sepal dot length, I'm not going to categorize on species. Okay. If I make this particular box plot, I don't see any outliers because when I'm taking this complete data set, I don't find any outlier. Whenever I do based on a particular species with another column, I was able to figure out, okay, when I'm doing it based on species, I found only one outlier on a particular species. So in the same way, you can also find, so the same example in what are the places you can apply this box plot. Can someone tell me? Okay, Monica, you asked a question. Do we need to install any package for Boxplot? No, Boxplot is a thing which is available default in your R. Okay, there is no necessity of installing any external package. Okay, these are all like basic graphs are available in a default way, so you need not worry about installing it. Okay, okay. Can run Boxplot for school itself. Yeah, for Boxplot for school I can run. So let me show this painters dataset. Okay. So here in this particular case, let me see whether the drawing skills of every school is differing or not. Is there any person which is so good in drawing or in their composition rate? So let me take only the drawing skills. Let me check if there is any outlier based on school. Fine. Based on school, I'll take my drawing. I'll just take this drawing variable. And data source is actually painters. Okay. Now I can see the outliers, right? Here, what is the outlier and what is the thing that you are able to understand? What is the idea that you are able to get here? Okay, an outlier in A. Yeah, A has an outlier. And why is that there is a difference in after your quartile region, and what does this represent? Because one box is so lengthy and the other box is so short. Why is that? Why is the reason? What is why it is happening? Yeah, one is because of skewness, and this would be your quartile region. So this is your minimum value, this is your maximum value, and this would be your median, and this would be your quartile region. So this is like first quartile region. In first quartile region, only less data set is available, but in your second quartile region, there are most of the data points is covered here. So if you're looking at this is actually on looking at the graph itself, you can tell it is skewed. So some of the data it has normally distributed. So some of the data has some of the skewness. So in these sort of cases, you can figure out either it can be based on an outlier or it can also happen because of some disproportions. Here, if you're looking at after mean, my proportion is much bigger. So in these particular cases, you have to do some logarithmic transformation, and if you're doing some log transformation, it becomes into a normal distribution, and it also helps you to figure out what is your outlier. So you can either remove this outlier and do a process again, and for removing outlier, there is a big process. You cannot directly remove a value because you are going to do an analysis, and it is much important to know whether you should remove or keep that particular point. So when coming into a research oriented phase, removing an outlier, okay, that is acceptable. But when coming into a business case, to remove an outlier, you should have a valid reason. Okay, I was not able to explain this particular point. Only if it is unexplainable, then you can reject it. So when for an example, if I plot, assume that I have a sales data set and I'm making a box plot, and I found three outliers here, okay, in the extreme. So the maximum extreme, I found three outliers. Only I'm taking only the sales figure and I'm plotting a graph where I found three outliers here. In that particular case, should I accept the three outliers or should I reject the three outliers? For example, in this graph, assume that there are 3 points here, three dots here, and this is actually a sales graph. Assume that it is a sales graph. In that case, should I accept the 3 points or should I reject the 3 points? Any idea about it? I have a box plot and I found there are three outliers, three extreme points in terms of sales. Okay, in terms of my sales, I found three extreme figures here. So should I remove that three sales figure and do the process, or should I keep that? That's my question. You should do a casual analysis and then think about considering. Yeah. So obviously, if you are doing a casual relationship, it is able to capture all other factors. Probably there you can find some reason for that outlier. Say probably on that particular day there could be a festival, there could be a season. So there can be multiple factors. If you are able to explain all the factors, then you can just keep that particular and you can build the model. If you are not able to explain it, and if it is a statistical error which had occurred for no reason, then in that case you can remove it and you can specify an average there and you can do the process. Okay. So this is the main point of outlier. So this can happen in one single point, but the usage of outlier is very vast. Even one particular case right now I am working in on a particular industry, that is actually a beverage industry, where I found that last month their sales was 30 times more than what they were selling in the actual months in the month of May. So in that case, it is an outlier, but according to them, after that the sales didn't come down, so it was moving in a stable graph. So in those point of time, I have to figure out what is the reason why what they had made, because they got an investment of almost 490 crores. So they had created some artificial push. So I need to find what is the reason for their artificial push and what are all the methods they had followed to do that push. So if I'm able to capture all those parameters, then I can build the modeling properly, right? So in those sort of business cases, you have to deep delve into an outlier. So because with this outlier, definitely your model is going to get wrong. So this is actually one very important thing that you have to consider whenever you do a process. Okay. So clear everyone about box plot. We'll get into the next statistical concept. So now we'll talk about correlation. So yesterday we were discussing about correlation, why correlation is used. So correlation is nothing but it is a statistical concept which is used to find the relationship between two variables. If there are two numeric variable and if I want to find what sort of relationship is there and to what extent the relationship is. So in those sort of cases, I can do a correlation. So what is the correlation coefficient that can range between? What is the range of correlation coefficient? Whenever you do a correlation, what is the range that your result will fix in? Yeah, yeah, it ranges between -1 to +1. So it can tell you whether you have a strong relationship or a weak relationship, and if it is strong, whether it is positively strong or negatively strong. That's what the interpretation you can make out of correlation. And one more important thing in correlation is correlation would never tell you the causation effect. So correlation can never tell you the causing factors. It can tell you only the relationship factors. As a numeric, it can tell you whether it is moving together or not. So with correlation, you cannot decide any assumption and you cannot build a model. So just to have a basic understanding of data, you can just do a correlation. So I'll show you how this correlation can be done. So meanwhile, there is also a function called attach. So for an example, if I want to filter a particular column in our iris dataset, what is the command that I use? If I want to extract only sepal.length, what should I use? What is the command to fetch sepal.length? Iris $sepal.length. So if I do iris $sepal.length, I can get this particular column, or even iris of 1, you can get this particular column. But there is an option called attach. So once you attach your file, for example, now I had attached my iris file. Now if I type sepal.length, I can directly get the values of it. Okay. Once I attach my table, it understands that whatever column, name that you're going to specify is from this particular table. That's the main function of attach. So whenever you work with one single table, you can go with attach. But if you are working with multiple table, don't use this command attach. So in the same way, if you want to extract sepal.width, I will get the value. So after attaching, there is no necessity of mentioning iris $sepal.length. So this process becomes easier. And this is a function to detach. Detach iris. After detaching, if I put the same command, it will not work. So what it shows, sepal.width is not found. Got the difference between attach and without attaching? Okay. So after you attach, there is no necessity of mentioning your table name dollar, your column name. You can directly specify your column name. So whenever you work with single table, you can use attach and this detach function. But when you work with multiple tables, this would cause some problem, because once you attach the table, only that parameters can be retrieved. All other tables, you have to specify their table name with their corresponding column. So it is better you follow the methodology of iris $sepal.length, table name dollar column name. That is the best way to work on. Okay, because you'll be working with multiple tables, where if you are attaching some data set, it becomes a problem.